Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Relentless Sportsman channel. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, this video is going to be a little bit different. It is not about hunting and fishing. Actually, what it is about is getting rid of mosquitoes on your property. And if you're anything like me, whether you live in the city or out in the country like I do, you probably don't like mosquitoes. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get rid of mosquitoes on your property without using any chemicals at all and saving a lot of money in the process. Don't go anywhere. So where I live, I have a lot of standing water. I have got a trout stream behind me here on the north side of my property, and a small river on the west side of my property. And after it rains, we've got a lot of standing water on our property where the mosquitoes can lay their eggs in. And I've done something about that, but I can't get rid of all the mosquito eggs and all the standing water around my property or even my neighbor's property. And because of the type of property that I live on, I like to spend a lot of time outside. My wife and I like to grow our own food, at least a lot of it. I like to hunt on my property. Last year I shot a deer here. I like to turkey hunt on my property. Last spring I shot a turkey as well. I've caught trout here. I've caught fish out of the river. I really enjoy being outside my property, but the one thing I can't stand is when the bugs get too bad and they chase you into the house. Sometimes I find myself hiding in my gazebo just to be outside but not have bugs by me, and it just gets a little annoying after a while. So here's the deal. You don't need to spend a lot of money getting rid of mosquitoes on your property. And another great part of this is that you probably have the ingredients in your home already, so you don't even need to go anywhere to purchase them. But don't get me wrong, there are a lot of great companies out there that help get rid of mosquitoes on your property, or at least repel the mosquitoes on your property. What I use when I go hunting or I go fishing is I use this here. It's Repel 40% DEET. It works really, really well in those circumstances, but who wants to walk outside their house, garden, water the flowers, let their dog out to go to the bathroom, whatever they're doing, and have to spray this on every single time? See, the thing is, I don't want to repel mosquitoes. I don't want them there to begin with. It's one thing to have the mosquitoes constantly trying to attack you. I just don't want them on the property any time of the year. So to do that, we probably need to eradicate the mosquitoes. See, the first couple of years I lived here, I purchased a whole bunch of tiki torches, stabbed them in the ground like this, and had them placed all around the campfire. I don't need to do that anymore. Here's what you're going to need to make this mosquito eradicator: salt, bread yeast, sugar, 1 or 2 2-liter bottles of soda that are empty, preferably ones that you can see through. I'll explain why in just a moment. So what you see right here are tools that are going to make your job to do this much easier. The good news is most of you have these things on your property. You're going to need a funnel, a pitcher that you can fill up with hot water, a Sharpie, measuring cups, pocket knife, some kind of string, any string will do, a drill with a 1/4-inch drill bit that's sharp. Now let me show you what I do from the start to the finish, the entire process step by step. Okay, so what we have here are my ingredients, the actual things I'm going to be using in my yard or in the woods to my right, and the tools, things that make this job easier and more efficient, to my left. The first thing you need to do, take off this plastic that's around the bottles. That's good enough. Do the same for the other bottle. You want the bottles to be somewhat transparent. If they're not transparent, you're not going to be able to see how much water you have in here, and that's going to affect how well they work. After you've removed the labels, take the caps off the top. You're going to need them later, so don't throw them away. Take your 2 bottles and set them next to each other. The first thing you're going to want to do is put in 12 tablespoons of sugar in each bottle. Now that the sugar's been put in here, 12 tablespoons in each bottle, set that aside, you're done with that. Now let's move on to the salt. For the salt, you're going to want to put 3 teaspoons in each bottle. Don't worry if the measurements aren't exact. They're still going to work. Just get it within the ballpark of these measurements I'm giving to you. When you're done with the salt, set that aside. Let's move on to the yeast. So 1/8 of a teaspoon of yeast is what you're going to need. Put 1/8 of a teaspoon in this bottle, 1/8 of a teaspoon in your other bottle. Now we're going to move on to our last ingredient, which is hot water. I simply fill up this pitcher full of hot water from my kitchen sink, and what you're going to do is put 6 cups in this bottle and 6 cups in that bottle. Now this next step is really important. You want to make sure that all of those ingredients you mix with the water dissolves completely. So put the lids back on the bottles. Mix all that up. Looks fairly well mixed. Do the same thing to the next bottle. You can see that something stuck on the bottom there. Make sure that's all combined with the water. All right, looks like we're good to go there. What I do here is I take my Sharpie and go around the entire bottle. The reason is because you do not want this to get less than 4 cups of water. Keeping it around 6 cups is ideal. After 2 months, this isn't going to work anyway, so you want to repeat the process after 2 months. Now you're going to need a way for mosquitoes to get inside these bottles. Obviously they need to get inside. That's what's going to kill the mosquitoes on your property. As you see here, I made a hole just there. Plenty of space for bugs to get in. But instead of just making 1 hole, I'm actually going to make 3, kind of like a triangle. So I'm going to go over a third of the way over this way. So as you see here, I've got a hole here, and a hole right up here. 3 holes. Put that aside and do the next one. Obviously, you're going to want the holes well above the water line. Now that you're done drilling the holes in the top of your bottle, set the drill aside. You have no more use for that. All you need now are your bottles you've been putting the ingredients in, rope, and a pocket knife or scissors. So what I do is I just use this rope. I happen to have some in my garage, that's why I use it. I've used braided fishing line, I've used twine. Use whatever you have laying around. Don't go out and buy anything if you've got it already. And the reason for the rope is because you're going to want to hang these in trees or on a nail on the back of a shed or something that gets them off the ground. I put these on the ground before and I found them knocked over. I don't know if a raccoon comes through and knocks it over or a possum or whatever it is. They're going to smell the sugar and the yeast and things in there. They're going to be curious. They're going to knock them over. The ingredients are going to fall out and you're going to have to start all over. It's a complete waste. So make sure you get them off the ground to the best of your ability. Take my knife, cut the string, and do the same thing for the other bottle. Now that you have 2 strings, 1 for each bottle that you're using, take your rope, put it away. You don't need that. Then what I like to do is take a slip knot and use the slip knot to put around the collar of each bottle. That way, when I want to reuse these bottles to repeat this process, all I have to do is remove the slip knot off of the bottle, leave the rope hanging in the tree or wherever you have it, and then you can put the bottle back in the same place the next year or the next time you need to use it. So for a slip knot, I take a loop this way, place it like this, take the longer part of the rope and pull it through and tighten that up. Now you have a knot that moves back and forth freely. You're going to want to put that right around the collar of your bottle. Now I have this excess rope hanging here. It doesn't matter. There's plenty of rope over here that I can hang this on a tree or wherever I desire. Now do the same thing to your other bottle. Slip knot, put this over the collar. The weight of this bottle should not compromise the knot. There's just not enough weight here. Now that you just learned how to make this DIY mosquito eradicator, let's go put them in the woods. I'll show you what I do. Okay, so I'm standing on the northern side of my property, and the reason why the north side is important is because you don't want this water to evaporate from the bottles that you just put together. If you have it in sunlight conditions, the water is going to evaporate. You have to start over. You want to have between 4 to 6 cups, as I mentioned earlier. Look at one that I put out 2 months ago. As you can see here, I hung this on a nail on the back side of my shed, and north is this way. This gets virtually no sun. This is where the water was originally, and really none of it's evaporated. But as you look in there, you can see all of those mosquitoes that have died in this bottle. And I'm sure even more have flown out over time. Now, I mentioned that I put this up here 2 months ago, so now it's time to remove this one. So what I'm going to do is just remove this completely. So what we're doing now is we're finding a place to put this other bottle. Like I said, you want to find a place that's north facing or a place on your property that gets a lot of shade. So I'll show you what I do for that. So what I'm going to do is look for a place down in the shady area where the mosquitoes can go inside this bottle and eventually die. Okay everybody, so you can see that little puddle here where the bugs will probably hatch from. I've got this about 10 feet away from it, not even. This is an ideal spot to hang one of these bottles if you're in the woods. So if you're wondering why this works or how this works, let me briefly explain. You see, I wasn't real sure about how sugar, salt, and bread yeast would kill mosquitoes. It just sounds kind of bizarre to me. But after doing some research, it turns out when the mosquitoes actually eat the salt, it kills them. That's what it does. When they drink the water from the bottles, this salt kills them. What attracts the mosquitoes is the combination of the hot water with the yeast and the sugar, but it creates CO2 just like we do when we breathe. That's what attracts the mosquitoes into the bottle to begin with. They drink the water. Sometimes they die in the bottle, sometimes they don't, but they eventually die after drinking the salt that you just put in this bottle after a while. So there's two really important things you need to keep in mind. Thing number one, it takes 2 weeks for these bottles to start working. So if you're expecting the big bug hatch to come 2 weeks from now, get the bottles out now. If you've got a bug problem already, this is going to help, but it's going to take 2 weeks before they start helping. Keep that in mind. So if you think they're going to go away the second you put that bottle on the tree or hang it up somewhere, it's not going to happen. Thing number two, this is what a lot of people don't get right from the start. These bottles need to go away from where you and your family spend time outside. It makes perfect sense if you think about it. If you have this bottle sitting next to you on your back deck and you're sitting out there, the mosquito is going to be attracted to not only the bottle, but also you as well. Keep these eradicators on the outskirts of your property to the best of your ability. That way, the mosquitoes are attracted to the outskirts of your property and not by your house where you and your family are going to be spending a lot of your time. So what I'm doing right now is a quick pan of my yard. This is about 1.5 acres, the space you're seeing right now. And on one side, you've got it lined with trees. On the other side, you've got it lined with trees on that side, and the river's behind me. You will not find a bottle anywhere in my yard. I put them in the woods out there, behind me, on the other side of the house, and the other side down there. And what that's done is not only keep the mosquitoes out of my yard, it also keeps it out of common areas I might go when I'm walking through my woods. So if you have property that you like to hunt on or recreate or camp on or whatever, keep them away from those places too. Something I also think it's really important for people to know and be aware of. This isn't going to eliminate all the mosquitoes on your property. It's not magic. But what it does do is it'll probably get rid of 90 to 95% of the mosquitoes on your property. That's a lot. Every now and then when I'm letting my dog out to use the bathroom, walking to get the mail, or doing some chores in the yard, I have a mosquito kind of flying around my head. It's not a big deal. If you compare that to the first year I lived here, we had so many mosquitoes on us, we couldn't even go outside. So what we had to do is basically be trapped inside our house for a couple months each year during the worst time of the year to be trapped inside your house, the summer. So my overall point here is it's going to save you a lot of money. It's not going to hurt the environment. There are no chemicals involved. It takes a little bit of work measuring things out, but it's definitely worth it. It won't get rid of all the mosquitoes, but it'll get rid of the vast majority of the mosquitoes on your property. And it can also help your neighbors as well. It's not just going to help you. So whether you live in town, out in a suburb somewhere, in the country, on a farm, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're going to have mosquitoes now and then, but what this is going to do is it's going to drastically help to get rid of them. And you probably already have these 4 ingredients already: hot water, salt, sugar, yeast. And at the same time, start asking your friends and family to save these 2-liter bottles for you if you don't drink soda. It's going to come in handy because now you're recycling the bottles at the same time. And you're not just throwing them away, and you can use them time after time again. Thank you for spending time with me today on the Relentless Sportsman channel. If you haven't, please consider subscribing down below. I can't wait to see you again next time. Thanks for watching.